Today in the show, you have been asking for this for almost 2 years, and I'm finally doing it. I'm finally doing origins videos. I normally do complete histories of characters and only spend like a minute on origins, but today I am doing an origin video. We're going to be talking about the origin of Rogue from the X-Men. So Rogue's parents met and married very quickly, and they lived together in a hippie commune in Mississippi, and they gave birth to a girl called Anna Marie. But then one day, these hippies would try using Native American mysticism to try and get to the far banks, and because of this, Anna Marie's mother would disappear and Aunt Carrie would start looking after Anna Marie. But the thing is, this caused Aunt Carrie to do a total 180 and she became incredibly strict. But because Anna Marie was brought up by hippies, she was incredibly rebellious and would eventually run away. She would start going by the name Rogue and would become very close to a boy named Cody Robbins. And one day she would kiss Cody Robbins, and this would cause her powers to activate, and she would suck out the psyche and life energy from Cody right then and right there, putting Cody in a permanent coma. From this day forward, she wore body concealing clothing, so she didn't steal anyone else's psyche and put them into a coma, especially if she cared about them. Not long after this, Mystique takes in Rogue and turns her loneliness into envy, her bitterness into anger, and just emotionally manipulates her and molds her so she would be the perfect member for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Mystique then has the idea that Rogue should absorb Ms. Marvel's powers, and at first Rogue was a little bit reluctant, but then she'd go for it and visit Ms. Marvel at her own home and attack her there. But because Ms. Marvel's psyche was so big, the transfer took a long time to happen, and when it eventually did happen, it was permanent, meaning she had Ms. Marvel's mind in her own mind permanently, and she had Ms. Marvel's powers permanently as well. She would eventually face off against Ms. Marvel once again, and this is actually where she meets Storm and Wolverine for the first time, and she easily overpowers all three of them. But then when she meets Dazzler, she's actually overpowered by Dazzler, and she'd meet Dazzler several more times and would be overpowered by Dazzler in each of these times, until Dazzler eventually disappeared from the face of the earth because she came out as a mutant to everyone, and that didn't go well. But Rogue would eventually find the more she uses her powers, the more voices she has bouncing around inside of her head, until she eventually develops full-blown dissociative identity disorder between her own personality and Carol Danvers' personality. So she has to go to Professor Xavier because he's the only one with mind powers that would actually be able to help her. But it turns out he can't help her at all because the Kree persona in her mind is just too big. He does offer her a place in the X-Men, which just makes the other X-Men go, "What the heck? This woman tried killing us multiple times," but Rogue ends up on the team. Before you try and judge the other X-Men, you do kind of have to understand their position on this, because even though the only X-Men that had actually met Rogue was Storm, Wolverine, and Dazzler, the only thing they've heard about Rogue is, "Bitch tried to kill me." So it's not a good first impression, but she would eventually prove herself to the team by taking a deadly laser shot for Wolverine's betrothed and saving Colossus by absorbing his powers and putting herself into this melted state so Healer could heal Colossus. And that is how Rogue gained the trust of the X-Men and became the character that you all know and love to this day. But it is worth mentioning that her and Dazzler have never really seen eye to eye. They really never had a moment where they talked about everything in the past. In terms of the adaptations of Rogue, the only one I think that is anything like the character is the one from the 90s X-Men cartoon. The rest are just a bit like, "I don't want to use my powers. Oh, I really don't like using them. I can't touch anyone. So why don't you join me under the willow tree? Here, let me give you a kiss. Mwah. Whoops! You're dead! Right! How do I forget? I can't touch people. Oh!
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. So what do you think of Rogue? Please let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my vlogging channel if you'd like to start your day with me every single day. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective. I don't want to use my powers. Oh, it's so dumb.